Hey there, it's Rachel Mullins, the host of Hashtag No Filter Fridays on Public House Media.
What's up, guys? Welcome to Your Life Matters podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Mariah White, and I am a passionate pediatric nurse practitioner and fired up health and happiness coach here to deliver a message to you. This podcast is meant to provide a hope and a dream that fuels your soul to dream big and to dream bold and to inspire and empower you to live out your wildest freaking dreams and to grab a hold onto the unwavering truth that you were made for more. What's up, guys? Welcome to the Your Life Matters podcast. I'm so excited you're here, so humbled, so grateful, so honored that you are tuning in to yet again another episode. If you are one of my devoted listeners, thank you so much for coming every single week, time and time again, to just listen to ways to implement some amazing, tangible things into your life for you to create your best life. Now, if you are new to this podcast, thank you. Go tell your friend who shared this with you or whoever on your story that you watched about this podcast. Tell them thank you. Tell them thank you because I'm so grateful that you are here, a part of the Your Life Matters community. Now, if you didn't know, I have an Instagram page called Your Life Matters Podcast. Go over it, click follow, be tuned in because I'm going to start to do some fun things like giveaways and connections and going live with different ones of my listeners. And that leads me to my very next thing. If you haven't already, leave a rating and review about this podcast because you may or may not be part of the people that I select to go live with and do a live one-on-one lifestyle coach training with. So I'm super pumped about that. Lastly, I'm going to say, if you haven't already subscribed to my text message thread where I send text messages to you on your phone personally, by me, Dr. Mariah, you need to text Your Life Matters to 31996 and just know that I'm here to support you, love on you, and just share my tangible tips every once in a while through text message onto your phone directly. So, with that being said, I'm just going to dive into today's episode where we are going to really talk about how to make sure that your shoulds and your wants are in alignment, to really help you narrow down your focus on checking the boxes of your life and how you can create adamant, passionate choices in your life to really fulfill you. Because a lot of times we are living our life because of expectations that others have for us, expectations that we need to satisfy other people's thoughts and minds. And what I want you to think about right now in your life is which need are you trying to satisfy? Are you trying to satisfy the need to fit in? Or are you trying to satisfy the need to pursue your own path? Because a lot of times we need to sit down and really think about this. And I went through this same practice that I'm going to be showing with you guys because I, for myself, needed to think about basic things, right? So we can go back to like psychology, whichever that you remember learning this is, but Abraham Maslow, which is a huge famous psychologist, created the Maslow's hierarchy of basic needs, right? And we think about those things, meaning what do we need, right? Food, shelter, sense of belonging, self-esteem, and self-actualization. So what do we need in order to really, truly be fulfilled in this life? A lot of times we find ourselves fitting in based on the expectations that other people have for us, based on not giving in to the universal fears that we all have. We tend to feel like we need to survive and feel like we fit in with other people so that we feel accepted or we're wanted or we're needed. Because like I say all the time, is we are constantly fueling want, need, worth, enough, and love. And when we are constantly giving in to the feeling of fitting in, we are making sure that we fit into those boxes because, well, if I do this, they'll love me. If I act like this, they'll love me. Or if I don't do this, somebody will be upset. If I don't wear that, or if I don't say that, I'm going to have this fear or feel judged or ignored or rejected. And oftentimes we're going through life, going through our journeys with this cultural fear that we have to fit in. And we set our standards for our life in order to match everyone else. But like I've said multiple times, why are we trying to fit in a box? You should be on a mission to check your own box. You should be on a mission to live your life the best way that you can. So the difference between belonging and fitting in, Brené Brown has an amazing, amazing quote that I want you guys to really listen. True belonging is not passive. It's not fitting in or pretending or selling out because it's safer. It's a practice that requires us to be vulnerable, get uncomfortable, and to learn how to be present with people without sacrificing who we are. True belonging is the spiritual practice of believing in and belonging to yourself so deeply that you can share your most authentic self with the world and find sacredness in both being a part of something and standing alone in the wilderness. True belonging doesn't require you to change who you are. It requires you to be who you are. And that comes from a quote in her book, Braving the Wilderness. And she is a brilliant researcher who differentiates between fitting in and belonging. And I love that quote where she talks about it's the practice of being vulnerable and getting uncomfortable. And it's not you figuring out how to fit in. It's knowing that you can find a place being exactly who you're meant to be, but also know that you will stand alone. So with that, I want you to think about your life. I want you to think about your life in 3 parts. I want you to think of 3 things about your life that you choose in order to be happy, but really to make someone else happy or to be liked. Is it your divorce? Is it your marriage? Is it your career choice? Is it the school you went to? Is it the job that you have? Is it the number of kids you have? Is it the way you look, the car you drive, the city you live in? What are you doing to check the boxes? And what are you doing to make sure you choose in order to fit in with the mold? It's almost like what that saying is if you're trying to keep up with the Joneses. What 3 areas are you doing? And I want you to be completely honest with yourself. Where are you fitting everyone else's mold? Now that you've had a couple moments to think about, and if you need to pause and come back to the podcast, do it because this is for you. Now I want you to think of 3 things about your life that you chose to make yourself happy with. No one else could have ever seen or done these things that you did, but you did them for you. What are 3 things that you wanted to do? So a lot of times, if you think about the choices in the first 3 versus the second 3, most would say that these are the things you should do, which is the first set. And the second things were the things you wanted to do. And which set brought you fulfillment in your day-to-day life? It was definitely the things that you wanted to do. So the thing that people need to understand is you get to choose how you live your life. And the ultimate goal of every should be a want. So I want to / should settle in the same city as my family. I want to / should make a name for myself. I want to / should have kids. I want to / should be my own boss. And whatever else it is that you need to fit into that, you should never, ever settle. not for a career, not for a partner, not for a job, not a city, anything that will not fulfill you. Because at the end of the day, this is not a dress rehearsal. It is no rewind, replay, restart button. This is life, and it is the real thing. And once I took complete control on understanding that this was my life and I had to make decisions for my life, I got to choose what I should and what I want to do. So I sacrificed a lot to get where I am today, where you see me on social media at Dr. Fit White on Instagram or on Facebook. You see me on podcasts. For those of you in my community with Beachbody, you see me speaking on stages and having this platform where I'm able to speak boldly. But I need you to hear me say I stood alone a lot of the time. I stood alone when it came to June 4th, speaking about Black Lives Matter on a call with 6 other amazing humans, talking about the division that I see not just in life, but in my company that I partner with. I stood alone when I got on a call and did a live recording with one of my amazing friends, Kim Fitzpatrick, and listened to how she questioned and wanted to learn. And I stood alone talking about what it meant to be a Black woman and what it meant to be a Black woman in a company and what it meant to be a Black woman who is also a mother. You have to know that depending on the milestones and the boxes that you check in your own life, that you may have to stand alone. But with that, you are braving the wilderness, and you will find the people that will stand with you. Courage is checking your own boxes, not the ones society expects you to check, and definitely not when you are expected to check them. When do you think that you're supposed to be a mom? Why is there always a day or an age that is attached to this? When are you supposed to get married? When are you supposed to graduate college? When are you supposed to have your dream job? When are you supposed... All of these things where we're having to check the boxes, but we don't realize that culture, society, and everything else is dictating our life, and we are letting life pass us without even realizing that we aren't being our authentic self. So what I want you to do right now is think about the life you're living. Think about whether you are living for yourself or if you're living for everyone else. I want you to think about if you are being your authentic self or if you are just sitting here going through the flow of life and life is passing you by. Do you have the courage to step into an uncomfortable situation and become your own boss? Buy your own house? Leave a relationship that doesn't serve you? I think the biggest thing that I can take away from leaving my marriage, being a single mom, leaving relationships that didn't serve me is even though it took me a while to get to that point, at the end of it, when I finally was able to put my big girl pants on and realized what wasn't serving me, I realized at the end of it, I was checking boxes that my society was telling me I should check. The hardest thing about being a single mom is most of the time, you're sitting there thinking that this isn't how my daughter or son needs to be raised. I need to have this. Well, why does your daughter or son deserve 2 unhappy parents? There's a reason why this relationship didn't work prior to the child, and it's not going to work just because you had one. And that might be a message for some people. It might upset some people, but as a single mom myself, I'm letting you know that it is okay to walk away from something that doesn't serve you and to not live your life based on you checking a box of what you should be doing. You shouldn't be happy. You shouldn't live a life you deserve. You shouldn't have freedom. You shouldn't have financial stability. That's what I think about when I hear about people being like, well, I have to do this by this age and I have to do this by that. And my mom wants me to do. Why are we living for your mom? Why are we living for your dad? Why are you living for your best friend? Why are you living for your spouse? Why are you not living for you? And then my next one, mamas, dads, why are we living for our kids? But then we tell our kids that they can be anything that they want. Your little girl or your little boy runs in and says, I want to be an astronaut. I want to be a physicist. I want to be a teacher. And we tell them they can be anything in the world that they want to be because we say that they're innocent. But yet, you aren't what you want to be. You don't have the dream house or the dream job or the entrepreneurial mindset or the book that you've been dying to write or the podcast you've been dying to speak on or the creation that you've been dying to create. But yet you're sitting there with your child and saying they can be anything. Why has the dream stopped? Why are you not living your life for you? It is time for you to become who you're meant to be. It is time for you to check your own box at your own time with no age limit, with no social parameters, with no blueprint, and just live your damn life the way that you were meant to live it. Because at the end of the day, when you get to whatever higher power you believe in, I believe in God, whether you believe in God, the universe, whatever, when you get to the end of your life and you say, I got to live X, Y, and Z, I want you to say, I lived my best, fullest, most incredible life possible, and I lived it out passionately and purposefully as if this was the only life that I have, because it is. So many people get to the end of their life and they just say, I wish I could do it over. Are you going to be the person that checks your own box and lives the life that you deserve? Or are you going to be the person at the end of your life saying, man, I wish there was a replay button? Okay, you have some homework. Think about the boxes that you currently have checked in your life that you are fulfilling for other people. And think of the boxes that you are checking for you that's giving you more happiness. And think forward on all the other boxes that you have yet to check for you to become your best self. And above all, I want to leave you with this very important message. Put your hand over your heart. Close your eyes. If you're driving, please don't, but just know that I feel you in this moment. You are wanted. You are needed. You are worthy. You are loved. And you are more than enough. And above all, know that your life matters.
What's up, guys? Thank you for tuning in to yet another episode of the Your Life Matters podcast. I'm so grateful that you're here. I just ask that you share this episode with somebody. I ask you to just share it and give it to somebody who could potentially need to hear this message. I really am on a mission to help hundreds of thousands of people to believe that their mess is their message and that their story really does matter. And that above all, their life matters. I'm so grateful that you're here. I want you to share this episode. And then on top of that, if you could please leave a rating or a review or both. Let me know what speaks to you. Let me know what you need to hear. Let me know what you've connected with, because that's going to be the best way that I can make sure that I'm giving you guys exactly what you need. I love you guys with all my heart. I'm so grateful for you, and I want you to know the difference and the impact you guys make in my life. I love seeing your messages. I love seeing when you guys private message me or screenshot it and share it on Instagram or Facebook, because it lets me know that this podcast is doing exactly what it was meant to do. And it's to make sure that there's an impact being made and to help remind you and everyone else that your life matters.